Hey, what's up everyone? So in today's video, I want to talk about element in Monster Hunter World. Now I'm not sure how relevant of a problem this is, but judging from the comments section in some of my video, I thought I'd make this video to help clarify a few things related to element. Some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video are element, calculating elemental damage, monster elemental weakness, and a mechanic related to that, armor skill that applies to element, and elemental weapon. Just a heads up, most of this information in this video are taken from Kiraniko. It's a useful website if you want more in-depth knowledge on Monster Hunter World. Most of the information there are taken from the official Monster Hunter World Monster Guide. So in Monster Hunter, there are 5 different elements: fire, water, thunder, ice, and dragon. The elements are for the most part located on the weapon description, and of course, like attack power, the elements are also inflated, but not as complicated. Just take the elemental value and divide it by 10. Simple. So if a weapon has elemental value of 150 dragon, your true elemental value is 15. Most of the monsters in Monster Hunter World are weak to at least one of these elements. Of course, I also want to mention the other element, aka status. So in the weapon description, status are also classified as element, which is not the same as element. This difference will be important later on. The different kind of status are poison, paralysis, sleep, and blast. Of course, the same rule applies to each status, divided by 10 to get the true status value. Now in calculating elemental damage, there are 3 different variables that can affect your elemental damage: sharpness, elemental value, and the monster hit zone. When hitting a monster with a weapon that has green sharpness, you get a one-time multiplier, which means you're doing the damage that is on your weapon. When hitting a monster with a weapon with white sharpness, you do 1.125 times more elemental damage, so you're doing 12.5% more elemental damage. However, you never want to fight in yellow sharpness or lower, because you're actually doing less elemental damage. 25% less for yellow, 50% less for orange, and 75% less for red. So for element, it's very beneficial to use weapon with a high sharpness to maximize your elemental damage, and elemental value is just the value stated on the weapon. Now for the important part, monster hit zone. A monster is separated into different parts, and each part has a different degree of weakness to an element. For example, the Rathlow's head is 30% weak to dragon, while his legs are only 15% weak to dragon. So you want to aim for the part with the greatest weakness to that element to get the best out of your weapon. Now that you know what goes into calculating elemental damage, let's calculate some elemental damage. It's actually very simple, much simpler than calculating raw damage. You take your elemental value, divide by 10, multiply it by the sharpness modifier, and multiply that by the monster elemental weakness. This will give you your elemental damage, of course not taking into account the quest modifier. One of the benefits of elemental damage is every single attack applies the same elemental value to damage calculation, as compared to raw damage where every single attack has its own motion value that affects the damage of that attack. Weapon that hits many times benefit much more from element. Of course, I also want to mention that some attacks are given a modifier that weakens or strengthens its elemental damage, such as the lance. The dash attack from the lance will inherently do less elemental damage, and this is for balance reason. This aspect of elemental damage is hard-coded into the weapon, so you can't change it with in-game skill, so don't worry about it. Now there is a mechanic in Monster Hunter where you would do less elemental damage or no elemental damage to a body part until you break it. There are also some cases where you would do less damage if you break the parts. For example, despite the in-game guide telling you that Bahazak is weak to dragon, the head, the stomach, the back, and the foreleg will receive no damage from dragon element until you break that body part. Monsters also have a special state that they go into that can change their resistance to an element, such as Nergigante. You do more raw damage when his spikes are white, but when his spikes turns black, you do more elemental damage. Of course, I also have to talk about the in-game monster guide. This is a common annoyance with Monster Hunter games. Specific values and details are often denoted with symbols, letters, and words that does very little to explain the nuance that are often found in Monster Hunter game. Yes, the guide provides you with a general idea of how to approach the monster. But a 3-star weakness does not mean that element is the most effective way to fight the monster. Just take Vazak for example. He takes no dragon damage until you break his parts. Obviously, the lack of specificity in the game makes it easier for a new player to learn the game, but it also makes it more difficult because a new player could go in with a strong weapon and do no damage and not know why. Now let's talk about the various armor skills that can directly or indirectly affect elemental damage. There are 2 skills that would directly affect elemental damage: element attack up and critical element. For element attack up skills, there is an upper limit to the element. The upper limit depends on the weapon, so you're gonna have to find that out on your own. Critical element is a set bonus skill found only on the Rathalos armor. You need at least 2 pieces of the armor to activate the skill, and the skill gives you bonus elemental damage when you land a critical hit. There are also some skills that indirectly affect elemental damage. Sharpness is one of them, and as mentioned earlier, the higher the sharpness, the higher the multiplier, and the more damage you do. Now let's talk about weapons that are suitable for elemental build. Sword and shield, dual blade, light bowgun, bow, and a subset of charge blade and switch axe are ideal for elemental build. Weapons such as the longsword, the hammer, the hunting horn, the lance, and the insect glaive can be either elemental or raw or mix of both. Weapons such as the greatsword, the gun lance, and the heavy bowgun are not ideal for elemental build. If the element comes free with those weapons, then that's great, but you should not play these solely for their element. Now, to end this video, there is a specific skill that I want to talk about. You don't ever use it in any elemental build, kind of, but its unique interaction with certain weapons warrant a mention, and that is non-elemental boost. All weapons except for the charge blade, switch axe, and bowguns that has an element, including status, since status are categorized as an element, will not benefit from non-elemental boost. Any weapon that has grayed out element will benefit from non-elemental boost. Bowgun does benefit, but their elemental ammo will not. Impact type charge blade attack with an element will not benefit from non-elemental boost, but the file explosion does. All elemental charge blade will not benefit from non-elemental boost. All switch axe with an element or elemental file will not benefit from non-elemental boost. Switch axe with a grayed out element or no element does benefit from non-elemental boost, but if it has a unique file such as poison, paralysis, or dragon, then the sword mode will not benefit from non-elemental boost, while the axe mode will. Exhaust file does not count as an element, so it does benefit from non-elemental boost. And if an element is awakened in a weapon, then that weapon will not benefit from non-elemental boost. And with that, we are at the end of the video. I hope you all found this video insightful and helpful, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like these, and I'll see you in the next one.